and thank you for all of your views, comments and subscriptions. Today we have a couple of endgame 3 Forma Nezha builds, but before we go into testing, let's just review the abilities first, so we can see what the new changes are. So the first one, Firewalker, now it's recastable. Also, it is now a duration ability, so once you press 1, it's just going to keep on working until duration expires, and you can refresh it anytime you want. Also, one thing to remember about 1, it does remove status effects from your allies, and at this point, if you got energy, there is no reason not to activate this. Second one, Blazing Chakra. This is going to be the most important change that we're going to constantly use. Blazing Chakra now, once you cast it, it will launch off into enemies, hit them, it does some damage, but what's most important is that it does damage vulnerability, increases damage to the enemies that are affected, and it is affected by power strength. And the third one, Warding Halo. Warding Halo now, the change is that it gives you 90% damage reduction. There is a counter that you can see how much of Warding Halo you have left, and if you are using an augment, it is actually also castable at 50% efficiency on your teammates. However, this keeps you status free and 90% damage free. Divine Spears, it's stayed quite similar. They did remove a little bit of animation that goes on with slamming spears down on the ground, but overall there isn't much change in this one. Alright, so let's go in and start testing for the first build. We are going to go straight into 20 Corrupted Bombards. And this Nezha should have no problems taking care of them. He is very tanky. So the way we're going to play this build is that we're going to cast Chakra, we're going to apply status effect, and then we will use our melee that is going to also return some health to us in a synergy with our Blazing Chakra to mitigate that 10% damage that we are still receiving and just tear through the enemies. So before engaging any enemy, you want to throw your Chakram out. You want to have a whole bunch of status effects, and of course we are using Condition Overload build for melee. This way it will gain the most benefit from extra damage. And you will see these are all level 155 enemies. These are the maximum enemies I am able to spawn currently in Simulacrum. There's no problems. This build allows Nezha to tank most of the damage and to increase damage on any weapon that Nezha is currently using. You will also notice once the Warding Halo expires, there will be about 1 second of invulnerability, allowing you enough time to recast Warding Halo, and during that time you will get no damage. Okay, we have one more left here. Every time your Warding Halo expires, you will also get that little flash. So Chakram, primary status, and go into your melee. There we go. 20 level 155 Corrupted Bombards gone, no problems. And not to mention, now, this is really fun. It is a very active way of gaming with Nezha now. You are constantly casting your 2, you're constantly refreshing your 3, and whenever you remember, even though I didn't remember a single time during this test, you press your 1. Let me just show you this build. So for this build, what we did, we have power strength at 199%. This basically triples our damage for any weapon after we cast Blazing Chakra. So for that, of course, we have Blind Rage. Now, we did have to counter Blind Rage with Fleeting Expertise, and we had to counter Fleeting Expertise with Prime Continuity. Prime Flow, if you have it, you always want to run that, lots of energy. This is now a caster frame and it's very extensive on casting. We are using Vitality and Steel Fiber as well for survivability. Across the projection, mostly because it's a team mod, strip away some armor. Mobilize is my favorite parkour mod. And in this build, I have Rage and Hunter and Adrenaline. because this now allows us to have 10% damage, so we are using that to replenish our energy constantly. So if you don't have maxed Arcane Energize, you have no other ways of gaining energy, you're not playing with EV Trinity, this is very good to have. However, to be completely honest, this is all you need for this Nezha build. For the Blazing Halo build, these 3 spots are completely optional. You can go in any direction that you want. I know most of you will be wondering about Hell Conversion. If you want to run with that, and you're trying to use this for a 2-hour run on mod, it might be useful for that, otherwise it's really not necessary. Steel Fiber and Vitality are more than enough, and if you're playing lower levels, you don't even need Steel Fiber, really. But if you want to run Hell Conversion, you can easily fit it in here. However, I would recommend that you do have at least one mod here that's going to return energy. If this is not what you want, there is also a different option. Since you are using Blazing Chakram and it's giving you extra health orbs, you could run an Equilibrium build, and with that, it is actually quite good to run an Augment. So Reaping Chakram will increase the amount of health orbs, which you're always going to be getting damaged, and those health orbs will be providing you energy as well. Of course, on a 3rd spot, whatever you have room for, you can run as well. If you are trying to be support, you can also put Safeguard and Reaping Chakram, both augments at once. You can drop, once again, anything you want here. However, this right here, just having a stance and these 6 mods, this is basically the basics of this build. You don't actually even need to have primed flow or prime continuity. You can just have regular flow, and regular continuity. And this build will still work. And this is pretty much all of this build requires. And just to prove that, I will run exactly the same test with just these 6 mods. I will change Corrosive Projection to Energy Siphon, just because I have nothing to return energy. And I'll show you, they can just do it with these regular mods and still have 3 slots open to build anything you like. Okay, so we're going to spawn, same thing, 20 Corrupted Bombards. Start off by casting Blazing Halo, throw our Chakram out, apply status with our primary, and just go after them. Throw a Chakram out again, in case they're not dying fast enough. That probably means you're just not hitting the one that's giving you bonus. You can easily see all these health orbs and energy orbs dropping because of the Chakram effect on the enemies. Gotta keep an eye on your Blazing Halo, like this. As soon as it deactivates, reactivate it back again. You will see very easily our health keeps staying at the max, and that is also because of the synergy we are doing with our melee weapon. We'll go into that a bit later on. Oh, dropped off the stage. Make sure if you drop off, you recast your Halo. You will also get a little burst animation, so it's a good way to get reminded that your Halo is down. That's it. And that was with just those basic mods. So, of course, if you do have Prime Flow, obviously it's better. If you have Prime Continuity, obviously it's better with that, but as I said, you don't need it. If you need to open up a little bit of capacity, you can just drop these down to regular mods. However, if you have them, you can always build with it. And of course, because you can put any 3 mods that you want there, you can literally put 3 parkour mods and ninja the crap out of any level. And what I mean by that is you can literally increase every one of the parkour things. So you can increase your sprint speed, you can increase your bullet jump, you can increase, Nezha's favorite, slide and friction. And of course with this, you are just going to be zooming through any levels that you want. Your survivability obviously is going to be increased because you are just extra fast, extra slidey, and when you need to, you glide for longer so you can get your aim right. It's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Oh, just missed that one. There we go. Okay, so for this one, as I said, I prefer to run it with Rage and Hunter Adrenaline. Hunter Adrenaline is obviously changeable. If you want to run an augment, just take out Hunter Adrenaline. It is 11 capacity, so you can either run Safeguard or Reaping Chakram if that's the way you want to go. And then if you do that, you will open up this if you want, let's say, for Cunning Drift, so you can make Nezha a bit more slidey and you add a bit more range. This is probably my second favorite if you have a team, and I know I'm gonna need to do a little bit of support there as well. Now, because now you're getting hit at 10% rate, all of the arcanes that are on hit are basically a valid for this build. So I'm using Arcane Strike and Arcane Guardian, but if you have Arcane Energize, filled one, you can just drop it in here. If you have a filled Arcane Grace, you can drop it in here as well. That is all perfectly fine. However, I have chosen to gain health through melee weapon, and I'll show you exactly what's going on there. So I have this, I can increase melee speed. Let's place this back. And the way we are doing that is we are using Healing Return. They have reworked Healing Return, so now it restores 9 health per status type affecting the target. Now when you think about it, we had about 5 status effects on each target with these builds, so every time you hit, you're going to regain about 45 health. With the fast enough melee, you can regain constantly all the health you lost. Just to show you exactly what's going on there and how you play this, we will spawn just one Corrupted Bombard, and we will pause just for a moment so you guys can see what's going on there. So, we have Nezha, we have casted our defense, we casted our Blazing Chakram, we use our primary that has lots of status effects on it, and as you can see right now, there is 4, and then you just use your quick melee and your health goes up. That's it. And because you used your Blazing Chakram and there's lots of status effects, condition overload damage is going to get tripled. Now I am using Phantasm, the first damage build for my video, and you can put any melee if you want to use at quick melee Healing Return. I don't have it maxed, there is enough capacity, just there's no need to max this mod. So if you don't want to max it, you don't have to. At max it'll actually give you 11 health per status. Now, there is another option, you can just go straight melee. So let's check that out. If you are doing that, you want a weapon that is going to have a life strike on it. and we are using the Strezzo Prime. That's the first build A from my Strezzo Prime video with a life strike on it. Cool. And what we're going to do, we'll do the same test of 20 Corrupted Bombards, but we are going to do melee only. Same thing, cast your Warding Halo, Chakram, but except using your primary to do the status. What you are doing here is holding channeling and using your life strike. It overall increases the damage, and because this specific build has a slash damage, it continuously keeps on refilling your life, so that 10% that you lose, it's literally nothing. Of course, as usual with life strike, you gotta take it easy so you don't run out of energy, and this is one of the reasons also why we have our Rage and Hunter Adrenaline here. So whenever you see your energy dropping to about 300, for example, just stop channeling for a moment. This is why all of your slashes on previous enemies, they're still going to be giving you life until they die. Like right now, all the slashes there, because I was holding channeling, are giving me life back. Don't forget to throw your Blazing Chakram. Increasing damage with a life strike weapon will also increase the amount of life you get back as well. Oh. Green yellow. There we go. We were down to 200, couple of hits. Great. Energy full. No worries. Now, with this build, obviously, nullifiers are a bit of an issue. You might, have to switch into your operator or pull out the primary to take care of them. However, it's still viable for long runs. And all it is life strike instead of healing return. Okay, so we have one more build that's for an endgame. We're calling it CC Spear. What we have done in this build, unlike the other ones, we have completely ignored power strength because we are not trying to increase our damage. What we do have is maxed range and max efficiency. So what we're going to be doing here is we are going to be casting our spears to immobilize all of the enemies on the map, so your team and yourself can take care of them. For this, you really don't need much health gain. You're still going to cast your Warding Halo. You're going to cast your one whenever you can. As all of you might have noticed in this test, I didn't remember a single time to press 1 to cast it, but once again, there is never a reason not to cast it. So this just focuses on having your Divine Spears reach as far as possible, and they're going to be able to be recast over and over because we have very good efficiency. So it's 25 to recast, so if you have your energy full, you can literally do this 25 times, I believe, with your energy pool. So this is very much a CC frame. Of course, you're going to be using Blazing Chakram slightly differently, but you're most likely going to be using your primary to kill them in this case. I know, same test over again, this is getting a bit boring, but I just want to show you how it works. So, Warding Hail in this one, you will run it amongst all of the enemies. Just press 4. There you go. And just take whatever primary you want to kill them with and start taking care of them. Once they're down, bring them back up. Now, here you can charge your Chakram, and it'll end up hitting more enemies because it actually splits up. It has a synergy with Divine Spears. So as you're charging it up, it itself is going to deal more energy, more damage, but for higher enemies it's not going to make a difference. What will make a difference is that the other Chakrams will hit them as well. That will give you bonus and a buff to your primary weapon, and you're going to end up killing them much faster. We are not using any life gain techniques for this one, because we really don't need to. Enemies are not doing anything. Our range is obviously so large we can hit both ends of the room here. Easy to get headshots as well. Your team can pretty much do whatever they want to enemies. There's of course counter, you will know when the spears drop. And the good thing about them dropping from spears, they're still on the ground and prone, so they have to go through animation of getting up. So there's no issues there. Now, I did bring a weapon that is not very ammo efficient, unfortunately. So we're gonna have to finish this up with a melee. But you basically see what's going on here. This is a very good build if all you're doing with your team is running with an Amprex or Box or anything like that. The reason why we're getting, damage numbers in millions with our melee is mostly because we are also using a chakram to buff the damage. Okay, where's that one hiding? There we go. So in this case, you probably want to bring something like Amprex. Lots of health orbs, lots of energy orbs. What can I say? Nezha is now fantastic for CC, fantastic for survivability, fantastic for buff. Does support. It's fun to play. It's great. This is kind of reworks that we want. And of course, since you already installed Forma on there, we do have what I'm calling a low-level AoE. This is basically just if you're running a low-level missions, doing some farming or something. We have strength here at 224%, a little bit of range. Basic with this build is that you're just going to run through low-level enemies, hit 4 once and kill them all everywhere. So let's say you are just running an infested mission. Chargers, there's always chargers in infested missions. Word. So a low-level one, so let's say you're running this at level 30, for example. So you're running a mission with this build, go to enemies, press 4, and they all die. Now the reason why this happened is because we are running negative duration. So your duration is only at 13%, and you will notice with spears, they do damage for impale damage and slam damage. So if your duration is very low, in this case in 1.5 seconds, you press 4 once and it'll drop them down instantly within 1.5 seconds, and it will just kill them all instantly. So this is not an endgame build, but since you already, as I said, have 3 Forma, and if you want to run this, on lower level missions, let's say we get like trash mobs. So again, we got clear board. Grenadier missions. So you just run in there, make sure they're all in your range, press 4, level 30 enemies, all the trash mobs, gone. That's it. Overall, this is a great rework. I think what they were trying to do here is pretty much have Nezha be a very quick, very fast, very durable frame, and I think it worked. You do have to get used to casting a lot. You constantly have to keep pressing to casting your chakram. It is, one of the best parts of these builds now. Whenever you have a chance, you can cast your one, and your one can be also cast and recastable while you're in the air, which is actually one good thing that I forgot to mention. Just try to remember whenever you are jumping in the air, you can just press one and activate this. Warding Halo itself, very useful. You don't need to build much armor for it because most of the damage number that you see is going to come from damage absorption. So if you go into abilities, you will see damage absorption multiplier. So we have in this build, for example, 5.6. So it actually scales with enemy level. So when you go to, let's say, 1 hour mod, when enemies hit you, you're going to end up like 50,000. So you don't need to actually put any mods that are going to give you any multiples. You just use absorption to increase that number. And I highly recommend you are running with melee that you can get some kind of life back. Otherwise, if you do have arcane grace, that'll work as well. Now, the weapons we've been using, that was Phantasm. This is our damage build from video. The Streza Prime, this is also a build A from the video. I have also used Healing Return on Zo. You can put that one on anyone you like. And that's pretty much it. Great rework. Nezha is now very good. A lot more fun to play than he used to be. And I'm definitely going to be using him. I will try to attach a couple of snips of Void test that I did after this video, if the video is not too long. You guys can check out how Nezha is in action in a 1 hour mod survival solo. And here we are with Nezha's Blazing Halo build, the one that has Rage and Hunter Adrenaline. We are using the same strategy that we did in Simulacrum. We are using Healing Return on a melee weapon to be able to gain some life back. So what we do, we send Blazing Chakram, we hit them with melee. As we are approaching heavier enemies such as Heavy Gunner, we use our primary to add status and armor strip, and then we finish them off with melee to regain all of the health. And it looks like we're running short on life support, so we might extract just before an hour. Looks like that one's too far. We're gonna have to extract now. But yeah, survivability, Void mod. Within an hour, no problems. And that concludes 3 Forma endgame builds with Nezha. It's a very good rework, very active frame. You're gonna have to keep on casting, actively targeting enemies with Blazing Chakram, keeping up your Warding Halo. Whenever you remember, click Firewalker, and don't use Device Spears that much, since presence of Ancients and Nullifiers make them not work that well. But overall, this is a fantastic rework with lots of synergies, and I highly recommend you try Nezha now. Thank you very much. If you like this video, click subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you want to see next, and I will see you soon on stream. Have fun!